Hey everybody, it's Doodle again. Actually, I have to tell you guys that I was actually on a pretty good streak with these videos. I was like, you know, I had a pretty good streak and then suddenly, well, it won't make a difference for you guys, but like I took a couple of day break off because, just stuff pops up, just, nothing in particular, just stuff, family stuff and all that pops up. So, like I said, it won't make a difference for you guys, but yeah, and I don't think it will. Uh, it looked like it was going to rain a while ago, but it's pretty sunny outside. It feels good. So let's just dive into it. Let's not waste no time. You guys know the gist. I do have one more rule I want to add to this. Actually want to make a roundup. Part, like, for example, the first video I did, I did the first 9 episodes. The video before this one, I did another 9, and for this one, I'm going to do the last remaining 9. There's an extra one somewhere in there. Don't worry about that. You guys get what I'm trying to say. But then after this one, I am going to make a roundup recap. Basically, what that is that I'm going to take some time off maybe and actually look at the episodes even deeper so we can go back and rank them like how I want them, like properly. This this part of this series I'm making, which is a part of the big project, this I would technically say it's kind of like the draft of this project. I was thinking about it. I was watching the last video, the second part 2. This is part 3. I was watching part 2 and I was looking at how I was ranking them and I actually didn't agree with what I said. Like, for example, Fall Weather Friends, it is good, but I don't think it's an A because I remember watching that episode and I felt really irritated. Ghostbusters is also good, but I wouldn't say it's S tier. Like, same thing with Dragon Shy and this Applejack episode right here. They were good, but they weren't as good as the Rarity episode, the Sakura episode, the Rainbow Dash episode, and the Winter Wrap-Up episode. So I think I think what I was doing is I was looking into things a little bit deeply. I think a tier list episode, not an episode. I think tier list, if you're ranking, if a part of this project, what I want to do is, I want to rank them in more in a way of how they feel, how I feel. I mean, like, it's good to rank the episodes very analytically, analyze them. That's fine, but this is more so my opinion, if that makes sense. So I think I should rank the episodes really based off of how the episode makes me feel more than how great the episode actually is. It's more of the impact on how the episodes made me feel, that's, yeah, I just said that, but so, like, what I want to do is that, well, first of all, I know how it might seem like that's a little bit unfair because, like, it's when you're ranking an episode, I feel like, in a way, it's better to judge them in an analytical way, but when you see people rank something, it's more about their opinions and how whatever they're ranking makes them feel. I'm so sorry. I was trying to adjust something. Sorry for World War III there. Let me adjust it one more time. Proceeds to adjust it 5 more times. There we go. No more of that until later. Until I like accidentally kick it or something like I always do. So yeah, I'm just gonna do that. But the thing is, I'm not gonna do that this video. I'm going to make it easier on both me and the people watching this, and say, for example, if I have this episode right here, let's say this isn't actually how I feel about it. This is just an example. Let's just say this right here is an A episode. But later on in the video, I start ranking other episodes and thinking about this one, and I'm like, oh, this one is actually better, so I'm going to move it up a little bit. That, to me, from what I figured out, is kind of a waste of time, because it's just kind of distracting. So, let me move this back. What I'm actually going to do after this, I'm going to make a roundup recap video, and I'm actually going to, like I said, I'm going to actually have all of these ranked, and then I'm going to look at them all, and then I'm going to actually, like, judge them better, like, you know, like I said, this Applejack episode right here, after I looked at it and thought about it more, it's good, but it's definitely not as good as these other episodes right here. So let's move it down to A. You know, that's basically just going to be the whole point of the Roundup recap episode. So at the end of the Roundup recap video, it will be my actual, like, thoughts on all the episodes. This right now, this is just what I think at the moment and while I'm talking, but not me, like, actually processing it and, like, deeply feeling, oh, this is how I actually think about this episode, yada yada yada. So I just wanted to explain that to you guys real quick. Let's just jump right into it. I know I always say that and then I proceed to rant like 12 more minutes, but let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so the Showstoppers, I remember this episode really well, and I remember having mixed feelings about it as a kid. It's the CMC episodes in general. I already said this the last episode, but the CMC episodes are either something you like or hate. I feel like there's no, like, in the middle. People either really like the CMC and like their episodes, or they're not the biggest fan on them. Me personally, I'm mixed on them. Like I said in the last video, they're not the best in the series, but they're also not the worst. They're just kind of alright. They're kind of just episodes to distract from the main six, and, you know, a lot of shows, they'll have, like, a B plot going on, and a lot of episodes are centered around that B plot to give some freshness. Now, I don't think shows do this as much anymore. You know, it was mostly, like, older cartoons, I feel like, did this. If the cartoons still do this today, I don't know if it's like, you know, I'm not aware of it, you know. Mostly, for the most part, it feels like a lot of newer cartoons, they just focus on the main journey and stuff like that. There might be an A or B plot, but it's more played in, like, a comedic manner. Now, for My Little Pony, the CMC, obviously, they're as serious as the episodes with the main six. It's the CMC growing, it's their struggles and their character development. So it's not different. It's not that different from a main episode. It's just simply the fact that the CMC are younger, and with the main six, you know, their character development is just like any other human. They go through their struggles and all that, but the CMC are more about getting their cutie marks, and the CMC are young kids with a lot of cartoons. You know, it doesn't matter how a kid or adult is written because it's a cartoon, so a lot of times you have kids that act like adults and adults that act like kids. You know, Invader Zim is a good example. Zim acts like a child and Dib acts like an adult, and Dib's a child and Zim's an adult, and you know, go on, go forth, so forth, yada yada yada. There's tons of examples of this. And this episode in particular is a great example of that. In my opinion, from what I remember, the Showstoppers is one of the most popular episodes in the whole series, CMC-wise. I remember back then, everybody had strong opinions about this episode for some reason. Everybody had a lot to say about this episode when it came to CMC terms. It seems like a lot of people back then, they didn't really talk about this episode right here, or this episode right here. I apologize if it's windy a little bit. The wind has been picking up these past few days, but it just hasn't been raining hard. Like, it's just been very sunny, and it's just been refusing the rain. And, like, a few weeks before that, we had rain 3 weeks nonstop. So, yeah, maybe it will get back normal soon, weather-wise. Anyways, this is a My Little Pony video. I'm not a news reporter. Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy? anyways, with the Showstoppers, like I was trying to say, everybody usually has a strong opinion about this episode. I can see why. It's really the CMC at play. And I remember some bronies' complaints of this episode that Apple Bloom and Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle, they were doing their roles wrong. Like, what was it? Wasn't Sweetie Belle Sweetie Belle was the clothes person, right? And Scootaloo did the art, right? And Sweetie Belle did the clothes, and Apple Bloom. No, Scootaloo did the singing. It was Scootaloo who did the singing. I'm 90% sure Scootaloo was doing the singing and Apple Bloom was doing karate dances. Okay, I remember. Apple Bloom was doing like dances and she was doing like karate, and Scootaloo was a singer, and Sweetie Belle was like the art person. She was doing the fabric and kind of like the background drawings, maybe. Or maybe they worked on that all together. That detail doesn't really matter. But anyways, people were basically complaining because in the fandom it's heavily implied that Sweetie Belle is supposed to be a singer, and it's kind of surprising when the CMC got their cutie marks, they all kind of matched with each other, and people weren't like, oh, Scootaloo didn't become a famous flyer, or oh, Sweetie Belle didn't become a singer, or oh, Apple Bloom didn't. I don't know what the fuck. Apple Bloom never had a fucking talent in the brony fandom. Scootaloo's a flyer, Sweetie Belle's a singer, Apple Bloom, I don't fucking know. It was really funny, but when they got their cutie marks, they're all like a team still. They help. Their talents are really to help other ponies get their cutie marks. So yeah, I basically just wanted to go into that detail real quick about how, like, one of the biggest complaints about this episode is that the CMC were, like, I remember people getting angry, like, oh, the CMC, they shouldn't be doing that, but that's the whole point of the episode, really, if you think about it, is that they're children, they're trying to discover themselves in their cutie marks. I always just thought that was a weird complaint. Like, oh, Sweetie Belle's a good singer, why isn't she singing? Why is she doing this other stuff that doesn't fit within their talent? But, what you guys have to understand is that, the whole point of CMC episodes is that they're trying to discover themselves and their talents and their cutie marks because they're always so young. This episode, like, it's really hard for me to rank CMC episodes. They all seem to be in B because they're just really hard to rank, in my opinion. They're just okay episodes, but they're not, like, okay and, like, oh, it was whatever. They're good, but they're not that good either, so, like, it's kind of hard for me to rank them. But, I mean, like, yeah, the episode just has typical standard CMC humor. Applejack was funny. That episode for me is really nostalgic. I feel like a lot of, I just remember that episode really well. It was really nostalgic for me. I definitely remember this one way better than these two right here, so this is one of the stronger CMC episodes. I just, like, when I first watched it, I thought it was annoying and irritating because the CMC were being annoying little kids, and, like, they were just being degrading, but that's the whole point of the episode. But at the same time, it's okay. I'll leave it right here, actually. It's definitely better than the Stairmaster. I didn't really go into it in detail the first time around, but the Stairmaster is kind of a forgettable episode. Okay, I have really mixed opinions about this episode right here. This episode, as far as I'm concerned, it tackles a more serious subject in My Little Pony. This episode is really fucking weird. Okay, it's just a really weird episode. I don't even really know what to say about it. Like, it's just, like, they treated Rarity really weird. There was it's more of a Spike and Rarity episode. It's really the first. Well, yeah, I guess it's not technically a spike in rarity episode. It's more of just a rarity episode. But you have a lot of spike segments in this episode in which Spike is trying to he wants to get with rarity, that typical stuff. So, anyways, it's just kind of a stereotypical episode. It's kind of cheesy. They kind of fell back on Rarity being cheesy again. Like, Rarity is written fine in this episode. This episode has sexual assault in it, so that's fucking great, question mark. Like, the dogs do certain things to Rarity, and I'm just like, oh, okay. That was weird. It weirded me out so much when I was younger, too. I just watched, you guys know what scene I'm talking about, but when the Diamond Dogs did that, I was just like, oh, okay, that was weird. I don't know who put that in there, but that's like really weird for My Little Pony. Like, you barely ever see that in the show, almost ever. Like, you have quirky little weird stuff in My Little Pony, but that was kind of like it passed My Little Pony's boundary, in my opinion. Usually, you don't see stuff like that. How the dogs treated Rarity, I don't think it was supposed to be like, I think it was just more like, oh, whatever, is a little bit comedic, just forget about it, move on with it. There's not really. This episode, to me, is just decent. It's not good or bad. So because of that, I'm going to move it down here. Rarity's funny because, like, she either has really good or really bad episodes. So, the episode wasn't bad, but it is definitely one of the season 1's more episodes. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. Green Isn't Your Color is fucking beautiful, okay? First, like, this is a Rarity episode. Like I said, you either have a really good or a really bad Rarity episode. Rarity either gets the best episodes in the series or the worst episodes. This is a good example of Rarity getting another good episode. It's going to S for obvious reasons. I don't know if it's going to stay there, but it is definitely going to be here for right now. Green isn't your color, or whatever you want to call it, I don't really care. Green Isn't Your Color is the introduction of Photo Finish. I love her. She's great. Shut up. Update. I love all the old-fashioned ponies. All the old-fashioned ponies, and the writing kind of slacked at that more in later episodes, but in the earlier seasons, the fashion ponies weren't as stuck up, and they were more down to earth, like humans were. Like Photo Finish, Rarity, Hoity Toity, Sapphire Shores, definitely not Prince Blueblood. Fancy Pants, he's down to earth too. Like I said, I ranted at one point. I don't know why they made his character suddenly stuck up. He was a tiny bit stuck up, but he was still nice, but he wasn't like stuck up, like rich stuck up, and that very irritated me because I knew they were going to do that to him, and it just irritated me so much. Like, I saw it coming, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So this episode is great. First of all, this episode has lines in it, which was later turned into the Friendship is Manly remix. I have to call it that. That's not what the remix is called, but when I say it like that, you guys know what the remix is called. The remix is actually called Forever, but that is a really good remix. So whenever I look at this episode, I was like, that really good old Brony remix came out of this episode. Same with a lot of other episodes in here. So it's really hard to say anything good about the good episodes because, like, they're good. So, you have the spa segment that was really good and funny. The Spike and Rarity crush thing, it was played off well of terms of, like, Rarity and Spike. I think a lot of people can agree that the Spike and Rarity thing in the show gets kind of annoying and distracting. It's like, yeah, whatever, we don't really care. But in terms of, like, the show, I think they handled it very well. They handled it very not seriously. They just handled it like, goofy, cute, good. It should just stay that way. In the dog episode, it kind of felt a little bit more intimate. Like, I understand, but I really don't want to see Spike's fantasies about Rarity. It's kind of awkward, and it gives me secondhand embarrassment. So let's not do that. let's not do that as much. It's alright though. It's not that big of a deal. Don't worry. This episode didn't it didn't deeply traumatize me. It was just simply a little bit uncomfortable, like a lot of Spike and Rarity segments, especially when Spike is like fantasizing about her. I get what they're doing; it's a joke, but that joke is kind of overdone and stale. But yeah, I will give My Little Pony a pass. In fact, it is My Little Pony. It's supposed to be cheesy and corny a lot of times. Who cares? It's whatever, you know. This is a really great Fluttershy episode. You had some jealousy in this episode, going on between Rarity and Fluttershy, which, oh, now it's about the rain. Okay. Now you're going to rain when I, get really into my video. Okay, maybe it won't. It's just getting cloudy. So if you guys hear clouds going boom, 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 it probably gonna rain later. I might have to move my location, but I think it should be fine. So yeah, you had some jealousy going on between Rarity and Fluttershy in this episode. I understand why Photo Finish, couldn't remember her name for a second. I know why Photo Finish saw Fluttershy in that manner. In fact, Fluttershy would be a really great fashion pony. She's feminine and she's very flowy, so of course she works well with fashion, so obviously Photo Finish saw her and she's like, oh, you're so beautiful, you look so beautiful doing this and that and this and that. It's just, the episode has a lot of great jokes. It's really funny. It's continuous. It never slows down. There's no like filler moments. I feel like there is like a whole fucking pile of ants right there. One of them got to me. That's great. That looks like there's 2 million of them. Probably because it looks like it's about to rain, so they came over here to hide. Yeah, but what I was saying, like, the later on in the episode, it was pretty funny. It was kind of like, Twilight messing with Fluttershy and making her pick her nose, which was absolutely hilarious. That's one of my favorite moments in the show ever. Whenever Twilight made Fluttershy pick her nose, that is comedy gold. I don't care what you say, that is fucking comedy gold right there. Fluttershy picking her nose. That is comedy gold. That is brilliant and wonderful, and I love that. And at the end of that, they had a pretty sweet ending. Rarity and Fluttershy, they were like, "Oh, you need to learn to respect each other," even though it was more Rarity's fault. But whatever, fuck you. Like, yeah, that's like, yeah, the episode kind of played it off, in my opinion. Like, it was kind of Fluttershy's fault too. What the fuck did Fluttershy do though? Fluttershy, you stole Fluttershy. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I think Rarity owed more of an apology of Fluttershy. I'm not saying particularly like Fluttershy had to like, ooh, but I feel like the show, the episode kind of played it off like it was a tiny bit of Fluttershy's fault too, which it really wasn't. But okay, like, oh, what are you going to get mad at Fluttershy for? Having social anxiety and not knowing how to stand up for herself? That's not really her fault. But yeah, that's just little small nitpicks that don't even really matter. The episode was great. It was funny. It was humorous. I loved it. It was cute. It was just all around a solid episode of the series. It does seem more like a season 2 episode, but it's season 1. But it's a really good episode. I like it. Shit. Come on. God, we have this episode. Okay. Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay, so this episode. Let me take a breather. No, there's nothing wrong with this episode. Like, it's just really hard to rank this one. Like, it is really hard to rank this episode over a barrel. How do I rank this? When I looked at the My Little Pony Seasons 1 list, I knew this was going to be the hardest one to rank. Not because I had no mixed feelings over the episode, not because it's bad, it's not great either. I just don't know how to rank this one, because it's just, out of all the episodes of season 1, this one is just the one that's just out there the most. And it's Applejack episode, so yeah. Let me just start with what I do know what to talk about. So in the start of the episode, You have the tree segment. I thought it was funny. Applejack saying a lullaby to a tree. You have Fluttershy. I'd like to be a tree. So that's a big meme. That was a big meme in the fandom. Lol, Fluttershy tree, whatever. You have Brayburn. The introduction of Brayburn. He's a deal in the fandom. He's one of the fandom's fan favorite. There's a lot of them, but he was added. There's there's racism in this episode. There's differencism. You have the ponies versus the buffalo, and they're fucking throwing apple pies and shit, and it's just so fucking dumb, but in a good way. Like, oh, we're fighting these fuckers with an apple pie. You have Pinkie Pie doing the dance, and then everybody in the fandom saying Rainbow Dash got a wing boner over her, and I'm just like, oh my fucking god, this fucking fandom. So obviously you have a lot in this episode to unpack. But at the same time, you don't have no. This is just kind of like a nothing episode. Like the Parasite one and the. What the fuck was it? And the Feeling Pinky King. It's kind of just an episode where it's just, a filler episode, I'd say. The thing about this episode is that it doesn't take place in Ponyville at all, so it feels very outlandish compared to the other episodes. Like all these other episodes, there is at least one scene that they're in Ponyville. But this episode has no Ponyville in it at all, and that's even rare to see in the new episodes. So that was different. It's the introduction of Appaloosa, and I think all that's cool, all that's great. You had a lot of things in this episode were cool, but it's just kind of an episode where it's just like, what's that one girl in here called? You had that one girl with the cherry blossom or some shit. I think that was a different episode. I can't really think right now. Those small details like that don't matter. This episode is just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna put it as at a B. It's definitely better than this one. And I would say it's better than the Stairmaster because it's Applejack. Applejack isn't even here a lot in this episode. Like, she's like the leader of the episode, but like she's not even there that much. So, yeah. Okay, you have a Bird and Hoof, the Phoenix episode. This one is just kind of like the same as the Parasite episode. And this episode, and the Feeling Pinky King, it's kind of a filler episode. There's not really a lot going on in this episode. It's just, the whole episode is just Fluttershy taking care of a bird. And then it dies and turns into a beautiful phoenix, and Celestia's like, oh, thank you, Fluttershy, for taking care of my bird. This is like the only time in the series where this bird is seen, and then it has like a baby one or whatever, and Spike raises it, and that was the end of the bird stuff. Like, the series just completely forgot about it, and it angered me so much. Like, there's a whole episode dedicated around this bird and the little bird Spike got, but they don't exist anymore. They just don't exist anymore. Let's just forget about them. I don't know if they brought them back in the newer episodes. I don't think they did. So, rip in peace. Rest in peace to the phoenixes and the birds in this series that Spike and Fluttershy had. Celestia. They just don't fucking exist anymore. The only real funny thing that stuck out to me in this episode was when Twilight got the peel and shove it down the bird's throat. That was funny. And the bird dying, and Celestia being like, oh, thank you, they do that. Yeah, I'm sorry if I stressed you out. Thank you for taking care of the bird. That was funny. There's not a lot going on in this episode. The whole episode is just kind of like Fluttershy taking care of the bird. The same build up in this episode is kind of the same with the Pinkamena episode. So yeah, I'm gonna put it, it's probably a C. I'm gonna put it at a B right now, though. It's definitely I'm sorry. Yeah, I said I wouldn't move around the episodes a lot, but I'll do it in this case. It's definitely one of the more weaker episodes. It's not bad, it's just not a lot's going on. This isn't even a question. This is the Cutie Mark Chronicles. This isn't even like... Fuck it. This isn't even like... I completely forgot about this episode's existence, and I deeply apologize for that, because, this, in my opinion, if we were to rank all the My Little Pony episodes in the series, I'm being serious, this would at least be top 10. Why is this like... That's like a bigger image than that. Well, this isn't... I don't know. Anyways, it don't matter. Well, what the fuck? No, they're just smaller because they're on top, and that makes a difference somehow. Well, what the fuck do I have to say about this episode? Like, the entire episode is great. It's a CMC episode, so shocker. But it's kind of not a CMC episode. Like, they're just kind of like, oh, how did you guys get your cutie marks? But they're going around and asking them, and you have lore in this episode. First of all, if you have lore in an episode, it's going to be good. You cannot mess up lore, unless if you mess it up, but for the most part, you can't mess up lore. Lore, My Little Pony lore, it's tasty, My Little Pony lore, it's tasty. If you get My Little Pony lore, it's going to be a good episode, because My Little Pony lore is tasty, okay? I just had to get that out there. First of all, I love the backstories. And if you think this episode wasn't good enough, this episode has my absolute favorite Brony remix in here. Flutter Wonder from Maor, or however you want to say their name, they go by different names. But Flutter Wonder is in this. The samples for the Flutter Wonder remix is in this episode, which is my favorite Plunderphonics My Little Pony mix, and my favorite Brony mix. It's Flutter Wonder, side rant. Flutter Wonder is fucking good. It's tasty. Listen to Flutter Wonder right fucking now. Listen to Flutter Wonder. Please listen to Flutter Wonder, please. Anyways, you have, first of all the backstories in here are golden. They took full advantage of the main six's backstories, like full advantage. They ate it up. They did not leave no crumbs, as you could say. They hit the ball hard. They did excellent. You have Rarity's backstory, which is funny and hilarious. You have the diamonds on the little pony's costume when Cheerly, when whoever was teaching, Rarity saw the diamonds on the costumes, or either she did that. Anyway, she was really attracted to diamonds, and her horn did like a funny thing, and it like carried her throughout the lands of Equestria until she found diamonds. Until she found diamonds, and she's like, "Oh, this is my talent." And then you have Twilight. Like, Rarity's was funny, but hers was more on the simplistic side. Then you have Twilight's, which is funny as well, because it's the best thing. They do the best flashback. They do Twilight in the Gifted Unicorn School, and she basically birthed Spike from his egg. She took the egg, and Spike came out of it, and that is tasty. Okay, that is tasty. I love seeing it. 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 I love seeing that. I love seeing Twilight, the backstory of how Spike came to be from Twilight, and they do it in a genius way too, and it makes sense with the episode. It doesn't feel random. These backstories aren't random. They actually play in with the episode. The CMC, they're asking. The episode has purpose. There's no filler in the episode. There's a reason for this, and it's tasty. It's good. It's great. I love this episode. I love it a lot. Then you have Fluttershy, which ties in the Rainbow Dash, which ties in the Pinkie Pie, which ties into them all. Don't worry, I'll get the Applejack last. You have Fluttershy, which used to go to Cloudsdale to study flying and participate in the flying with Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash had beef with these boys, which you see in the Sonic Rainboom episode. They bully them. They bully Fluttershy mostly. Rainbow Dash sticks up for her, but Rainbow Dash cares more about her flying. Who cares? So they bully Fluttershy. Fluttershy falls from the sky. and she lands on the ground, and she finds animals, and how great the earth and the lands are, and that's how she found her talent. That's why Fluttershy should be an earth pony. That's the whole point, she's skittish, she's a Pegasus trapped in an earth pony's body. That's the point of her character. Like I said, Applejack is the earth pony, Rainbow Dash is a Pegasus pony, Twilight is a unicorn pony, but then you have Rarity, Pinkie Pie, and Fluttershy, where it kind of more doesn't matter, Rarity, she can be whatever. Fluttershy, she makes more sense as an Earth pony, and Pinkie Pie makes more sense as a Pegasus. The fandom says that a lot, but I feel like they did that on purpose. So Fluttershy falls to the ground, and she sees how wonderful the land is. And then she gives out a good song. It's pretty decent, My Little Pony standards, but again, that song would later turn into Flutter Wonder, so I don't care. Flutter Wonder, S tier Brony. I'm gonna rank Brony music, okay, and put Flutter Wonder at S plus tier. Come at me. And then you have Rainbow Dash, which she flies and she does the Sonic Rain Boom. And whenever that Sonic Rain Boom happens, all the ponies see it, all the main 6 see it, and they're like, oh, this is my talent, this is what I want to be. So this is really important. The Rainbow Dash connected like a friendship connection within the main 6, and the Sonic Rain Boom drew everybody together, and that is really important to the story of My Little Pony. It is really important. Lore-wise, I know it kind of doesn't make sense. Oh, well, what specialty does Rainbow Dash have, She's just kind of there. But that personally didn't bother me. I thought it was really cool how the Sonic Rain Boom connected them together. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was S tier writing. Whoever wrote this episode, I love you. And then you have Pinkie Pie, who was on the rock farm, and obviously she's like depressed and emo like her sisters, but then she sees Rainbow Dash's rainbow, and it literally brightens her life up. Oh, we got some Pinkie Pie X Rainbow Dash lore, whoa! But you have that, and Pinkie Pie is like, oh my god, that's so cool, and that was just brilliant. I love it. And Pinkie Pie threw a party, and her family smiled because her family was depressed and worked on a rock farm. But it's like, oh, look, a party, and they're like, oh, like, wee! And you have Mod Pie. I love you, Mod Pie. You got Mod Pie in this episode. This episode is the introduction of Mod Pie. I love you, Mod Pie. I love you, Mod Pie. I love you, Mod Pie. I love you. And then what I wanted to talk about most importantly is Applejack. I think this is really important. This is going to sound really weird, but I think this is kind of goes into my headcanon of why Applejack is autistic. First of all, listen to me. Just listen. So you have Applejack, and I think Applejack had a lost sense of connecting in the first place, because Applejack's parents are dead. She's living on a farm with Granny and Big Mac, and Apple Bloom, was she born at that point? Anyway, she was probably very young, but yeah, a flashback of her as a filly. We don't know if her parents died when she was that young or not, but what we do know is that you don't see them in the frame, so maybe this was right. Actually, what would make sense if this was right after her parents died, because usually when somebody you love dies, this isn't the case for everybody, but it's the case for a lot of people. A lot of people just want to escape. They don't want to be in that familiarity. They want to do something new. They want something very different. So that pain of that loved one being there, it just hurts them so much they just want to get out. So that would make sense for Applejack, in my opinion. Applejack, she didn't want to deal with that pain anymore, so she went somewhere else. Either that, or she didn't feel that big of a sense of belonging in the first place. Either that be she is getting bullied at school as a filly because of her down-to-earth nature and her not being so sporadic, and her just being kind of more like introverted, I guess. Not technically introverted, but kind of like more to herself and more reserved. She's friendly, but at the same time she's reserved and she's grounded and she's not crazy like these other ponies. Like Applejack's kind of like, okay then. So you have that, and that was I think that would be really cool if it was like either had to do with her parents, or my headcanon of, well, the one with the parents is also one of my headcanons, but another headcanon of mine is that Applejack didn't feel a sense of belonging. She moved away because either she was feeling bullied at school and she didn't feel it fit in, and she was just really different from other ponies again because of her nature, or there was probably some family issues going on. Like I said, that kind of ties into her parents, but either way, Applejack had a sense to mask herself, so she went off to be with the fancy part of her family. She didn't like it. She didn't know how to be mannerism. She didn't know how to enable manners, and she felt really trapped there. And she masked herself, and she masked who she was. But that rainbow made her realize who she actually was, and went back home and discovered her true self, which is her work, quote unquote, her family. It's really her work, her hard dedication and who she is and her authentic self. That's what I think the apples symbolize. They're not actually there to symbolize apples. They're there to symbolize who Applejack really is. That was really deep out of absolutely nowhere. I don't apologize, but I hope you understand where I was coming from. I does a fucking 18-hour long deep dive on Applejack's character. Applejack. After explaining 7 minutes of Applejack lore, I hope that made sense. Applejack headcanon lore. So, 2 big thumbs up. I don't have nothing else to say about the episode. It's just fucking great. Fucking love it. What the fuck else do I say? It's great. I love it. It's fucking great. It's a fucking great episode. So obviously, after one of the best episodes in the series, you have one of the worst episodes in the series. As well that ends well is kind of irritating. Twilight, especially Twilight. Twilight felt really out of character this episode. And this is one of those episodes where you're rooting for Spike. If you're rooting for Spike in an episode, that's how you know the episode is a little bit weak. Spike is often the voice of reason. I'm not saying he's a bad character. I actually do like Spike, but he's one of those characters you bully. Nothing deeper than that. He's just one of those characters you bully. Twilight getting angry at, Spike was extremely unjustified. She was kind of giving what she was given in the Griffin episode. Oh, Pinkie Pie, well, you're just jealous of Rainbow Dash. She was, back to her prickly self, which, there's outside of Twilight. Sadly, it comes out sometimes, especially when she's being written a little bit more poorly. I don't think they tried to make Twilight come off as so bitchy in this episode, but I think that's just how it turned out to be. It was probably on script that didn't come out that bad, but later on it's just whatever. Like, they probably wrote it and it's like, oh well, we don't know what else to write. That's the whole episode. The whole episode is just about whatever. The whole episode is just about Spike being jealous, so we have to have Twilight be out of character in order to drive Spike to literally move out. That's how bad it is. Spike literally has a mental breakdown and just leaves home. And it's really weird. I thought that was a snake. That's a rope. That's a hose. It's just really out of character. This episode feels weird, and it kind of feels a little bit traumatic to me. I know that's funny, but like Spike leaving his home and just slowly having his mental breakdown, and nobody else is taking him seriously. Like, everybody's just treating him so cruelly, and he just suddenly snaps and he just leaves home. That was like actually kind of like hard to watch. I got really bad secondhand embarrassment watching that. I didn't get irritated with it. I was like, oh, that's fucked up. What the fuck? Like, they literally just, like, it is played kind of seriously, too. It's not really played for jokes. They're all, like, done with Spike. Oh, Spike, we don't need you. Fuck you. We have this fucking owl now. That was really out of character. That was really weird. So he runs off, and you have all the dragon shit that happens. I think that's the episode where Spike gets the bird. That's what I was talking about. But that's at the very end of the episode. I would say 70% of the episode is just, you have this pet that comes in, the owl. They, completely forget about the fucking owl. I hate that owl, by the way. Out of all the main 6 pets, that owl is my least favorite. My favorite is definitely Wiona, however you say her name. I love the dog. She's so cute. Then I also like Opal. I hated Opal at first. I love all the pets without the main 6 besides the owl. The owl gets on my nerves. Gummy is obviously great. Everybody loves Gummy. You gotta love Gummy, especially in the 100th episode, cause he's M.A. Larson. Wasn't M.A. Larson the one that voiced him again? I'm 90% sure, but I don't want to be incorrect about that, since it's a YouTube video. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is this episode is just a build up of just, especially Twilight and everybody just treating Spike poorly, which the Spike abuse, haha, a little funny, but it's in a serious way, and it's dragged out for 20 minutes, and it becomes very unfunny very quickly. Spike has justified anger. Twilight is kind of like Spike's mother, and then suddenly Twilight gets this pet, and the owl is treating Spike horribly, and it's kind of gross, but the episode kind of writes Spike like he's in the wrong, and I'm like, no, he's not? Question marks? The episode has a good ending, but the main 6 just felt especially Twilight, they just felt really cruel and rude for no reason. It just felt very forced, and it was just very weird. And it was very sudden too. It's just oh, what the fuck did Spike do? I know he's a little bit annoying, but he's not that bad. Jesus fuck. I like Spike. I don't hate his character or nothing. He's just fun to bully. It's Jesus fuck, what does Spike do? So I was what the fuck? It was really fucking weird. The show kind of forgot about the owl. In the episode, it kind of makes me question, it kind of makes the whole fandom question, why did Twilight need a pet? It goes in the territory of, is Spike a pet? Well, he's not. He's a baby dragon, but, he's kind of like a pet a tiny bit, but he's not really a pet. He can walk, he can talk, he can form his own sentences. He's his own person, it's just, it's whatever. It's just a really weird, it's just a really weird episode. It just, I don't know. I'm gonna put that one at D, and that is the episode that has gotten to a D. Spike episodes are definitely not the strongest. That wasn't Spike's fault though. It was kind of more of a Twilight just being fucking terrible for no reason. Spike was written fine. Spike was just being Spike. It was mostly just Twilight and the main 6, but what the fuck? It's definitely not the worst episode in the whole series. Compared to the newer episodes, this one's good. But compared to old season, it's just I don't understand, Now, of course, with the Cutie Mark Chronicles, we had a terrific episode. One of the best episodes in the series. The Owlicious episode is not the worst, but it's definitely not that good either. But after this, don't you worry, we go back to a very good episode. Now, with this episode, I really said I wouldn't judge the episodes based off of how much of an impact they had on the fandom. Sonic Rainboom episode that clearly had a large impact on the fandom. It's a very cult classic episode within the fandom. Same with Fall Weather Friends. Same with Winter Wrap Up. But if you guys don't know, I have to judge this episode like that. Because this is the Pinkamena episode. And if you don't know who Pinkamena is, or how much of an impact she's had on the Brony fandom, I don't think you're ready. You shouldn't even be watching these videos. We have Miss Cupcakes herself. We have Miss Turn Rainbow Dash into a Cupcake. We have one of the most famous creepypasta characters ever, especially back in the older days of the fandom. No other creepypasta within the pony fandom matches up to the impact that Pinkamena did. We have other stuff. We have Rainbow Dash and the Rainbow Factory. We have Fluttershy, Shed Dot Mauve. We have the Apple Sleep Experiment with Applejack. We have like some like old Tumblr pony ass blogs where like Twilight was portrayed as insane, and you had Little Miss Rarity. You had all these creepypasta ponies back in the day. Apple Sleep Experiment, Applejack is kind of on the newer side, but I think they probably did that also because Applejack didn't really have a significant creepypasta counterpart. Kind of the same with Twilight too, but especially Applejack. But this episode has Pinkamena in it, and is the introduction of the entire Cupcakes creepypasta. So simply just because of that, it has to be ranked high. But whoa, you just can't rank an episode based off of that. Well, yes, I can, but if we want to go there now, let's just say the episode is good, it's funny, it's entertaining, and I love Pinkie Pie in this episode. It's one of the best Pinkie Pie episodes. She's written very in character, she's really great in this episode, and I love her. So, in this episode, the main six are throwing a surprise party for Pinkie Pie, but she doesn't know because it's a surprise party, and they're like, Pinkie Pie starts catching on and spying on the main six, and she's like, oh, they're ignoring me, so she slowly trips into insanity, and then you have the introduction of Pinkamena. And then like she gets surprised and she's happy. It's one of the best episodes in the whole series. I love Pinkamena's little objects that she talks to. I love the pit of rocks. I love Pinkie Pie in this episode. This is when Pinkie Pie's at a strong point. This really goes deep into her character instead of just like, oh, Pinkie Pie's annoying. Like, it's just solid Pinkie Pie episode. Tasty, great. I love it. It's really funny to me, how just in general people looked at this episode and I was like, yeah, she wants to kill ponies and turn them into cupcakes. That was absolutely hilarious. And it was kind of just portrayed it as just, first the cupcakes thing was just like, oh, it's just, Pinkie, let me just write a fucking fanfic about Pinkie Pie killing Rainbow Dash, who cares? And then, like, it blew up. In my personal opinion, mostly within the old Brony fandom, I don't know much anymore, but the most popular Brony thing by far, right behind Derpy, would definitely 100% be Pinkamena. You have Derpy, and then right behind that, you have the entirety of Cupcakes. You have, like, so many versions of the Cupcakes creepypasta. It's fucking insane. But, yeah, Pinkamena, let's go. And then we have, oh my god, fucking work, it does that. We have, the best night ever, the gala episode. This is really a lot like winter wrap up. It's just a fun episode. I won't go on this one a lot. I'm about in the recording in a few minutes. This is just an A. I don't have a lot to say about this episode. It's just, it's good. It's fun. It's a fun episode. It's really fun. The segments with Rarity and Prince Blue Blood were absolutely infuriating. I hated it. But the rest of the episode was fun. It's the season 1 finale. It's really season 1-ish. There's no villain, there's no bad guy. We had episodes leading up to this episode and it plays off very well. I love it when series do that. Like, they have like a few episodes that's leading up to a big episode and they handled it very well. The Ticketmaster and some of these other episodes that had to do with leading up to the gala, like the Rarity episode, they did it great. They did it wonderfully. The episode's fun. The episode isn't supposed to be deep. There's no character development in the episode. It's just fun episode. It's just a fun episode. and they all have like a bad night, and Spike's just at a donut shop while they're out partying, and it's so funny. The episode is it's just fun. It's just a fun episode. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just fucking fun episode. Great. this there's a lot of this episode is very brony. You have Soren like num 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 with the pie. You have a lot of memes from this, a lot of old brony memes from this episode. It's just a fun episode. It's a lot like Winter Wrap Up, but it's funner than Winter Wrap Up because number one, it's the season 1 finale. Number two, you had episodes leading up to this, and three, this episode was probably marketed to death back then. Old Brony thought that was bad. Just wait until after season 3. Ooh, but yeah, it's a fun episode, guys. I'm gonna end it here. So like I said, this is not the end. Like what I said, I thought I was gonna like go back and like rearrange this, and I was like, okay, this is the end, but this is not gonna be at the end. Yeah, I know I talk a lot, I rant a lot about My Little Pony, but this isn't gonna be the end. The video right after this is going to be the end, and what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna change nothing. I'm not gonna change nothing at all. What I'm going to do, like I said at the start, I'm going to go through these episodes and actually rank them like correctly. Like this Pink Amino one right here, I just threw it in the S tier. I didn't go through and rank it. You know, the only one I really switched around a little bit, I feel like, was this episode right here because that's a no-brainer. But these other episodes I have to actually think about. So the next video in the series, we're going to go through my thought process and go into it a little bit deeper and come out with my final results. Now, if I do change my mind after that, that will be okay because we haven't got to the big final project yet. But for right now, you know, this is kind of just a draft. So I'll see you guys in the next video whenever I rearrange these and you know, we talk about it. I'll probably already write it down what episode I won't wear in a notepad, so I'm not just like ranking these in the whole video. I'm just like like I'll be more prepared about what I'm doing because like I said, these past few videos are more of a draft for my project. So here we go. You know, it's like I said, this, don't pay this no attention. They're going to be reorganized. A lot of these episodes aren't even going to stay in the same place. They're going to be changed. Yada 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 yada. And that's the end of it. Okay, guys, I'll see you. Bye.